What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Breaking Bet. You missed us for a couple weeks. It was a dramatic ending to the College World Series. Tennessee finally doing me dirty and hoisting the College World Series trophy after the last couple of years of it being a struggle. But nonetheless, congratulations to the Vols. They were the best team all year. And, look at it now. We have the best time of the season, the MLB Draft. This is really what it's all about for us. And I'm very excited to be joined with my guy, John Bowman, one last time, recapping college baseball in general. Thanks so much for joining me, John. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, dude. Always happy to talk baseball.
So, we should start with the fact that a lot of books is now coming up with markets for the draft, but really everybody else has in the last few days come out with only one. That's just who's going to go number one, it's pretty generic, across any sport. You're going to debate who's going to be the number one pick, but DraftKings is probably the most versatile, as they have been in the entire college baseball season during the year. And they have a couple I'm actually down shore right now, so see I'm getting a little tan, been at the beach. But so the hot topic conversation is who going to be the number one draft pick. And I think it's always interesting, John, who should be the number one draft pick versus who will be the number one draft pick. I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like it's always very different when you think who should be and who will be. I think Kaggs should be the number one overall pick. I think he's the best bat in the draft alone, let alone his pitching. He might not end up pitching in major league level, but I think his bat alone is good enough to have him there. But then you also got to think about the team that's picking. And a guy like Travis Bazzana is, he's like the prototypical guardian, to be honest. He doesn't strike out a ton, makes a ton of contact, has a lot of upside. So I think they're going to end up going with him. JJ Weatherholt is an interesting look because he could have been the number one overall pick coming into this year, but he got hurt a lot during the season. That really killed his stock a little bit. Obviously, that shouldn't determine who goes first overall, but I just don't think that I would go Bazzana over Weatherholt in the first place anyway.
So you're saying you think Bazzana's going one, and you think Bazzana should go one?
No, I think Kaggs should go one, but I think Bazzana is going to go one.
So now in terms of what the price is, now Bazzana's taken steam. He was even money on some books, even +5. Now, you're looking at different places. He's -130, -150. He's catching a lot of steam. Now, if you think Bazzana's going to go one, where would you lay that to? What is your cutoff number? You're not touching it.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not that's not one of my most confident picks in this draft. Last year, I hammered Skeens. I got him at +280. I got him at +220. And I think I hit him a third time because there's just no way you can pass up a generational prospect like that. This year, I'm not as confident in it because I don't even think Bazzana should be going first in the first place. So I would probably only go up to maybe -140 would be my highest. But, that's definitely – that would be my play there if I had to make one.
So this is something I've been talking about for the whole season. I think one of two things is happening. As always, in any draft, there's a bunch of smoke. It's a bunch of smoke screen. So either Cleveland is doing the biggest smoke screen in history or they're dumb enough to take Travis Bazzana first overall. So when I say this, take this for my full opinion, is that I think Travis Bazzana is very good. I think he's a very good player. I think he is going to be an all-star at the major league level. I think he's probably a 25 guy, can bat in the 310 range. That's very good. But the problem is, not only is he not the best player in this draft, he's not even arguably top 7 in terms of the most talented. You can legitimately make a case that there's 7 more talented players in this draft from the college side than Travis Bazzana, Weatherholt, Condon, Kaggs, Kurtz, Montgomery, Burns, Hagen Smith, Vance Honeycutt. Vance Honeycutt is arguably the most talented player in this entire draft. If it wasn't for his bad looks with the strikeouts, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's more talented potentially than Vance Honeycutt. Then you look at some of the other guys like Christian Moore. Christian Moore, you can make a case player at second base position. So the fact is Bazzana has just been, for whatever reason, been uplifted over the last year, saying that like he's potentially the best player in the country, which I don't think is the case. And you look at all the other guys that are near him. Bazzana played in the worst conference. He played in the Pac-12, so he was stat padding in the worst conference in football. And when he had to see the SEC, he did nothing. Hagen Smith mowed him down 3 times early in the season in Frisco Classic, whatever classic that was. Then in the Super Regionals against Kentucky, he did nothing. And I understand that sample size. And I don't hate Bazzana. It's not it. I just don't understand why a team would pick him. Like, where is the ceiling? He's a high floor guy. So for me, I think there is 5 legitimate guys that could go 1. But to be honest, to me, it's either Kaggs, Condon, or Chase Burns. I don't think the Indians would do the height of stupidity and take Travis Bazzana, a second baseman, 1-1. The only even remote shot is if he's taking like a $2+ million cut from any other guy that they would take. I would take Weatherholt over Bazzana, honestly. I think there's a bad recency bias here where, you said it. J.J. Weatherholt had a better year than Bazzana last year. J.J. Weatherholt was healthy. He batted .450. So the fact that Weatherholt got hurt this year, everybody kind of lost favor with him because he only played in about half the games, and he still batted over .330. So, I think it would be the height of stupidity for them to take Bazzana. I mean, obviously, Titans like Condon and Caglione, who are potential 40 to 50 home run guys. Jack Caglione is a guy that even if he does, which I think he's going to get a shot, he's a Gold Glove first base. Condon's playing 5 positions. Both guys can hit 40 to 50 tanks. You have Chase Burns. The only reason why I think Cleveland has a shot to take him is because given their history on how bullish they've been on pitchers and how they've been able to develop future Cy Young winners and Cy Young winners, Burns is polished. Burns is going to get the scheme treatment where he's ready to go up major leagues next year. So I don't understand Bazzana hype going 1-1, especially now he's getting steamed. And we saw this last year with Dylan Cruz, where everybody thought Dylan Cruz was going to go 1-1. And, it came to the realization he wasn't. And obviously it was different. His scheme just overwhelmingly the most talented player in the draft. It was a can't miss, no brainer. So, it's a different situation. But to me, there's no way you can go Bazzana. He shouldn't be the number 1 pick. And to be honest, I don't think he will be. I think everybody is being fooled. I think Cleveland is kind of pulling the trick on us. Sorry for the rant.
No, you're good. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think he should be number 1. I think Kaggs should be number 1, but he just fits the mold of the Guardians. And then, the other thing is the upside, right? Is like teams fall in love with upside sometimes, as opposed to like that, sure guy, and what you're going to get out of him. So, he's only been playing baseball for so long. So I think some teams would fall in love with that upside as well, but I think it should be Kaggs.
We got a comment here. Our guy Jeff, good guy. He's been interacting with me a lot about this draft recently. He said Guardians have new philosophy. It won't be Bazzana. He said it will be Kaggs. Was told Cleveland scouted Kaggs more than anyone, and Antonetti was there almost every week. And then 100% agree with me. That's right. Appreciate you, Jeff. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you're not taking the most talented or most potentially talented player, and I truly mean it. I think probably about 7 better players in this college draft, maybe more in terms of like potential talent. If we're talking about potential talent, honestly, it's probably Vance Honeycutt, because if a team is able to cut down his strikeouts even in half, This is a guy that's going to be 40-40. Bailey Cup profiles as a 40-40 guy at the next level, in addition to being the best defender on the field at any given time. So, listen, I'm gonna die on this hill. I don't think Bazzana will go one just because I think it's dumb. If they took Weatherholt, no problem. I could see that. Weatherholt fits that mold. He's got the shortstop eligibility now. He's played third base. He's played second. We're not even sure Bazzana is going to be a second baseman in the long haul. We don't know. He's not a Gold Glove baseman. He's solid. But he's not somebody that I think is a definitive sticking middle infielder. He's not a shortstop. So, to me, it doesn't make sense. And I know he's got a lot of, I guess, he's got the tools, but he does a lot of things that are analytically sound. But so do the other guys. I think we're too deep here. And maybe I'm wrong. But especially when the fact is you're getting other guys like Condon and Cags 10-1, 20-1. And bro, I was on pure comedy. I just, quite frankly, don't see how I wasn't able to take that. And of course, I take that, I give it out. And, now Burns is 30-1, 21, 18-1 in some spots. So, that kind of covers it. I've been keeping these feelings in for a while because I just generally don't understand it. And to me, it was just something that was so ridiculous to see a guy who is very good at best go number one overall in a sea of talent. In a sea of Marlins, we're taking a tadpole. God damn, dude. Come on. Let's be real. All right. So that covers it for the number one pick. We could go on all day about that. I mean, I think the shot that, Chase Burns, he's a guy that I would take a flyer on because while it's unlikely, I think there's potential. I would probably say there's maybe a 10% chance that Cleveland takes him, but for the price, knowing how Cleveland is with pitching and the fact they don't have a future ace at the moment, Burns is going to be up sometime next year. He's going to be like Paul Skeens. So, all right, DraftKings, a couple other markets they're doing is draft positions, John, which is pretty cool. A couple markets that we've been into. I didn't include the prices just because it was a lot of them, but I can read off. So Billy Mick I know for a fact was 30.5 because I gave it out at 30.5 at the over. He's ballooned up to 33.5. So you're paying minus 120 for the under 33.5 and 33.5 over is minus 110. I think Billy Amick is probably in the 31 to 35 range. I think the end of the season in the College World Series kind of hurt him a little bit. Over the course of the season, it was great, and he's definitely on the cusp of first-round talent. I do have some potential concerns about him being like a big league star as opposed to like a really good college player. Where are you feeling on Billy Amick here?
So I think he'll be higher. If I had to make a play on that, I think he'd be higher. I actually have a play in his that we'll probably get later in the show on him, but I'm staying away from his exact draft position over under.
If you tell me on the over 30.5 about a week ago, and now today of all days. Okay. Braden Montgomery is an interesting candidate now, John. 7.5, even minus 115 on over under. Montgomery before the injury was looking top 4, top 3. Now I think the broken ankle is going to drop him a couple spots, but I don't think he goes past 7. I think a team is still going to be fine with him. I don't think he's going to go over to 8.
So I think this one's he's either going to be 7 or 8. I think there's I think that's why this line is where it is, minus 115. Either it's 7 or 8, and I believe it's the Cardinals drafting at 7, right? And the Angels drafting at 8. So
yeah,
in my opinion, there are six guys that should go ahead of there. And then, like I said, he'll either be 7 or 8. I think I'm going to go with the over 7.5 because I think he'll drop to the Angels. I think the Cardinals have been wanting to boast up their pitching a little bit more. So I think we could see either Hagen Smith go there, or I think we could see the first high school draft eligible prospect there, maybe Bryce Rayner. But I would go. That one's tough because obviously you're deciding between is going to be 7 and 8 in my opinion, but I would guess 8.
I'm with you there. I think, to be honest, the way the Cardinals have been approached draft in the last 2 years, especially when it comes to college players, they're a team that's really been picking on a lot of they're gobbling up that 3rd, 4th round pitching talent. You look at who they got the last couple of years. They got Quinn Matthews. They got Max Radjic. They got Pete Hansen. Obviously, they get Cooper Jerpy in the 1st round. But,
exactly.
Hagen Smith was the best college pitcher 2 years ago. They the thing is, I don't know how you pass on Hagen Smith. And, you look at the Cardinals, they're an older lineup. You got Nolan Gorman, but you got Goldschmidt and Arenado, who you just don't know how much you have left in them. But you got a guy like Chase Davis, who you just drafted last year. So, in my opinion, if it was between Hagen Smith and Braden Montgomery for the Cardinals, I would say they're going to go Hagen Smith. I just can't imagine Hagen Smith gets past number 7. Really can't.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll stick there with the under. Now, let's see, who else do we have? We have Brody Brecht. I believe he was 20.5 stated by you. I'd have to go back and check that, but now 21.5, and there is a serious steam on his over at minus 185. He's under 21.5 at plus 150. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Yeah, so he was at 20.5 earlier today, and I played it at that. Now it's up to 21.5. I just he's the ability is enticing, right? Obviously, throws over 100 miles an hour, but he never really found it in college. If we're being honest, he always really struggled with walks. If he didn't have, he's when he's good, he's dominating. But if he wasn't, then he could come out in 3 innings, because he gets himself in so much trouble there. But the other thing is they're just I just think they're 20 players better than him at least, So there's just not enough room. I mean, I've got, a lot of other players are going to go before him. Seaver King, Christian Moore, like you mentioned. If Nick Kurtz, I mean, he'll be gone by then. You're probably going to get a couple high school guys. So I understand the ability is enticing, and maybe that's what gets him up, earlier than that. But I just don't think anyone's going to want to take a chance on him, earlier in the 1st round.
Yeah, I agree. It is a big price, but I would pay it because, to be honest, I'd be surprised if we see Brody Brecht inside the top 25. I mean, at the end of the day, you're drafting him for his potential, his upside. He actually improved this year from last year. ERA was 3.3. At 100, I think 28 strikeouts. He had more Ks, less walks this year. He definitely displayed a lot better command. The stuff is still electric. But, I just feel like you said there are 21 better players than Brody Brecht. And I'd be surprised if he gets taken inside the top 25. And, every year there's just guys that fall. We saw it last year. Yohandy Morales is a guy I thought should be a top 15 pick. He falls to 40. Nat's got an absolute steal and Morales. Hurston Waldrop is a guy I thought would be in the top 15. He falls to the late 20s. The Braves pick him. So I think there's going to be some guys that, we've seen play really well in college that we're like, wow, he should be top 15. He should be top 18. But they end up falling a little bit later, than expected. So I think Brody Brecht could be one of those guys. And, just for pure stuff, I don't think he'll get first round. I think he'll be I could see the Yankees taking a shot on a guy like Brody Brecht, somebody that's throwing, 104 miles an hour coming in, right at pick number 26. I think that would be a spot where I think is live. Okay. Cam Smith, 18.5. I smashed the under on this a week ago. I don't know how Cam Smith doesn't get out of or doesn't for pick number 19. I just think Cam Smith, who had a really good College World Series, he showed how much he improved with the glove. His hitting off the charts. I think he led the country in hits or was second. The power's pretty solid. Oppo Taco. This is a kid that's turning into a well-rounded ball player. Plays the hot corner, and maybe that's not his position at the next level, but I do think Cam Smith, one of the best pure hitters in this draft, is going to help him stay within the top 18 picks. And what I got him at was, I think, minus 105. So, now you're going to have to pay a minute. You have to pay 180 to keep him under. So I got a pretty good number there.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have much of a thought on this one. I would lean under, but I think he's going to be drafted right around then, 16, 17, 18 area. So I would lean under, but I don't have much of an opinion on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's very strange because a bunch of teams that are in that range that probably aren't going to be able to get their hands on one of, the top 10 players. And to tell you the truth, when you have teams like the Marlins and the Rays and the Mariners, some of these teams like to take high school prospects. So really it is just a crapshoot. But right now we're kind of going off the fact that these guys are really good and there's a shot that they should be going sooner than, what other teams might think. Okay. Then we got Benj. That's interesting. Outfielder from OK State who does pitch, slotted into the Sunday role and at the end of the season, did pretty well. He's got some pop, right around 16.5. I don't think he's got two-way player potential long-term in the major leagues. And I think the Mets were trying it out with Nolan McLean, who I think Benj is a better two-way threat than Nolan, but I don't see Benj inside the top 16. His is 16.5 at minus 180, with his under being plus 145. So I think Benj is going to be one of those guys that gets into the mid-20s.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm actually fading Benj in a couple ways. I think he's going to be over 16.5. I think there are definitely a lot of players that are better than him. But then the other thing is, I don't think he's going to be a two-way player at all. If you put them together, sure, he's been very good pitching and he's been very good hitting, but I don't think he's going to be a two-way player. So then if you take away, say, the pitching, you've just got the hitting, then he's not one of the top bats in this draft. I think he's a late first rounder. So I like the over. I really like the over here. And then I also have, we might get to this one later, but Vance Honeycutt over him in draft position at plus money. So
you mean under?
Before Honeycutt drafted before Benj.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think we're going to get to that. Yeah, we're going to get to
we're going to get to those.
We're
going to get to those later, but
where was that one? Yeah, we're going to get to that one. Plus money. All right, so let's try to rattle through these off. I know both of us are on a little bit of a crunch here. Chase Burns 3.5. This was interesting. It was on the under was minus 160. Now it's down to like minus 130. I think Burns goes under 3.5. I think it would be shocking to see him get out of the top three. I know Colorado's been mocked to Burns a lot, but I think he could go number one, or He pairs up with his college boy. The Chase brothers take Colorado, Dolly and Burns. I think that's an under.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect line, to be honest, because I think he's either going to go, I mean, he could go earlier, but I don't think he's going to get past 4. And it just depends if a team wants a pitcher or not. And you've got Bazana, Weatherholt, Condon, and then Cags up there. So I think, maybe he'll go 3rd, maybe he'll go 4th. So I'm just staying away from that one. I think it's a pretty good line.
Yeah. Christian Moore, 11.5. Christian Moore's over 11.5 is minus 215. His over is plus 170. I mean, to be honest, I don't think he's getting enough respect. Sometimes it's hard to say, like, is Christian Moore a top 10 player? Yes, he is. But, like, do I draft him top 10? No. I think it's over, but I wouldn't play it at the astronomical price.
Yeah, same idea. Like, I think he's good enough to go below 11, but at the same time, I don't know if other people are as high on him as maybe I would be. So I don't really have a thought there.
This is the interesting one. Hagen Smith, 6.5. We were talking about it before. It's an even minus 115 on both sides of the over-under. At 6, picking is the Royals. At 7 is the Cardinals. This is where it gets tough because some of these teams might go the high school route, save money. There is a thing called slot value. Some teams don't want to overpay for a college player. They'd rather go the cheaper route and take a high school player. A team like the White Sox could very well go with the high school player because rebuilding, they don't want to spend the money right now. They have time to wait. So, I think for me, Hagen Smith, I don't know why. I don't see the Royals taking him, even though they should. I will go over. I think he's going to the Cardinals.
Yeah, like it's the same idea here. I think he'll either go 6 or 7. And so that line's obviously pretty spot on. Yeah, and I don't think he'll get past 7. So, your guess is as good as mine there if he's going to be 6 or 7. Because like you said, those high school guys can just, you don't necessarily know which team's going to be into them, but you could technically get the top high school guy at that pick as well. So it just depends about slot value and what, I guess when they want these guys to come up.
James Tibbs, 9.5. We're looking at the ACC Player of the Year at minus 115 on both sides. Tibbs really, really impressed here. He was unbelievable. So 9 is Pittsburgh, 10 is Washington. Now, think about this. Washington, they have a stable of outfielders. They just took Dylan Cruz last year. They have James Wood. They have some guys in the minor leagues. So I don't think Washington's going to take James Tibbs. I think there's other candidates, maybe like a Trey Savage, they will go. Pittsburgh needs back, but at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to take James Tibbs. So I'm probably going to go over the 9.5 here.
That one, once again, I think is dead on. I think he'll be right around 8, 9, 10. It just depends what those teams want at that point. So I don't really have much of an opinion on that one.
Jonathan Santucci, 39.5. This is a guy that most of the season, especially early on, was being mocked as like a top 25 pick, going to be one of maybe the 5 college pitchers off the board. But some of the potential first-round pitchers of the college coming into the year, like Josh Hartle, Drew Bean, Jonathan Santucci, were underwhelming. Didn't have great years, and therefore their projections have resulted in a drop-off. Santucci, 39.5. Lefty with a lot of velo. It's minus 120 to the under, 110 to the over. I don't know. I see him going over. A lot of pitchers have actually, tend to slide. So I think Santucci is going to end up over 39.5. He'll hit the 40s.
Yeah, I have a play on Santucci, but it's not this way. So I once we get that late, it could literally be anyone going at any point, depending on, a lot of more teams pick depending on need versus the best player. So I'm just staying away from that one.
Gerangelo Sanger, my guy, Every single time he pitches, I tweet about him. You know how big I am on Durangelo. This is the switch pitcher from Mississippi State, guy who's taken an astronomical leap this year. The fact that he's even being discussed as a first rounder just shows what kind of growth he made from last year to this year. Unbelievable. But here's the thing. I'm going to take a little bit more time on this one. Here's the thing about Durangelo. Nobody talked about him except for us, the people that really follow the sport, coming into the year. He didn't really start gaining steam until about late April, early May. And then once, his transcendence was carrying and showing a statistical result of profile growth, of having better stats and look really good, he wasn't really being discussed as somebody that was a high prospect. He might have been a late second rounder. And now how he finished the year, and he got a little press buzz. ESPN and MLB ran a profile on him after ignoring the first 14 months of his career, and that kind of kicked it into gear with some of the juice. So, now he's being talked about as the first rounder, which, kind of has not come out of nowhere, but it's being a little bit over exaggerated. And as such, I think they're just overblowing it a bit. I think Durant's done unbelievable. He's made great strides, John, but I think he's still got a little bit of ways to go. And as much as I love him, I don't think he's a top 20 pick right now. And I took the over at minus 105 last week, and now it's about minus 130. I think Durangelo over 20.5 is a smash.
Yeah, I completely agree. I absolutely love that one. Because 2 years ago, he really wasn't good at all. He got demoted from the rotation at one point. But last year, this most recent year, he was very good, took a lot of steps forward. It's just the potential with him. The thought is with that kind of potential, a guy that throws from both sides, maybe a team will take a chance early, but I really just don't think they will. You don't want to take a chance in your top 20 picks. And I think there are definitely 20 guys better than him. So maybe towards the end of the 30s is where we'll see, one of these teams that's been good for a while that will take the chance on him.
Well, I'm going to tell you, as long as the Yankees don't get him, I would love to see him on the Rangers. Pick number 30 with my boy Wyatt Langford, two of my favorite players, Durangelo and Wyatt Langford on the same team. It'd be like Christmas for me. I don't think he's going to go top 20s. And, at the end of the day, there is a real feel he's going to abandon the left-handed pitching side. It just, for pretty much the whole year, he didn't pitch from the left side. Did for the first half, but it was very selective. It was a couple times a game. He would throw maybe 30 pitches. And then second half, he was exclusively a right-handed pitcher. So that begs the question, is he going to stick as a righty fully or immerse both righty-lefty? So that's a big question that teams are going to have to decide. Part of the novelty is the fact that he's 95 from the left side. But all right, let's move on to Kurtz here, 11.5. This took a lot, and I mean a lot of steam. Now his under 11.5 is minus 170. I gave it out early in the week at minus 105 on July 4th. And his over is plus 140. I mean, Nick Kurtz all season last year in the 2024 mocks, all season was being talked about as a top 5 pick. How the fuck is this guy? How is this guy going to go even outside the top 10? Nick Kurtz is legitimately one of probably the 5 best players in the country. He hasn't even filled into his body. So, now the under's minus 170. I probably would tread a little bit more carefully, but given how I got it at minus 120, I think this is a slam dunk, dude. And he's a Gold Glove first baseman. How is he not going to go under?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get past 11. I think he'll be 8, 9, 10, 11 will be around his range, but I don't think he'll get anywhere further than 11. So I like that under too.
I mean, honestly, the Washington Nationals, if they don't go pitcher, Kurtz in the lineup, they don't have a legit first baseman, so you could really see them. Or maybe the Royals go nuts and get him at 6, pair him with Baba Witt Jr. Just a lot of options there. Okay, then how about Tommy White at 27.5? This is a guy who's really being talked about most of the season as top 10, top 12, top 15. But, 27.5 after the fact is he had a good year. It wasn't 2023-esque, but, Tommy White was really good this year. And we're seeing about 27.5. The unders minus 140, overs plus 110 over 27.5. I'm not going to bet him. I could see him fall, especially after seeing Yohani Morales fall last year into the 40s. But generally, I would think he goes under 27.5. He's got power. He's got great contact. He's got a great approach. Nobody hits the ball. I've never seen a hitter go oppo like him with power. The amount of power he has in the field. He's improved tremendously at third base. He's got a real shot at being a good big league third baseman. So I think under 7.5 is the direction I would go in.
Yeah. Sorry, which one would mixing Tommy my White. Guys? Which one?
Tommy White, 27.5.
Tommy White, yeah. So I don't have anything on this play. I probably have a play later, but I don't. 27.5, I think, is right around where he'll get drafted, like middle to late first round. It's just like once you get to those picks, it's about if guys are looking for upside or like Tommy White's that classic guy. You what you're going to get out of him. He's going to be a major leaguer, right? Probably 10-year major leaguer is what you're looking at. It's just whether he'll take that extra step in major leagues and kind of outperform everybody, be an all-star or not. So he has the potential. He's a solid guy. I just don't know. I think it could go all around that. So I don't like any plays on that number.
Fair enough. We have Trey Savage over here at 12.5, which a little interesting. His over 12.5 and his minus 170. His under 12.5 is plus 140. I think this one is pretty interesting on Savage. The over's high, and I don't know if he goes over, considering that there might only be 3 college pitchers in the round, potentially 4 or 5. I don't think Savage goes past 12. I don't think the Red Sox let him go, to be honest. So I would actually take the under on Savage. I'm not making it official, but just in terms of conversation, you're getting plus 140 for a guy that is one of the best college pitchers this past year. I think the over is a little, and it's a little too pricey. I don't see Detroit or Boston passing up on Savage the opportunity.
Yeah, I would go under 2 there. I think he'll be around 10, 11, 12. I don't like it enough to make a play on it, but I do think he'll be right in that range, just outside the top 10.
The plus 140 is juicy too. You're getting a good number there. I think Savage should be more like 10.5, 11.5. I think, like you said, 10 to 12 is the money zone. And I mean, listen, bro, you never know what the Pirates decide to do. Maybe the Pirates pass up on offense and they just continue to add up onto the pitching rotation. What if they Skeens, Savage, Jared Jones as a 3-headed monster for the next however long? This would be ridiculous. All right, last one. Boy, Vance Honeycutt, man, 17.5. He's taken a little bit of steam to the over, surprisingly, at minus 160. The under is plus 130. I'm going to say it, bro. Vance Honeycutt might be the most talented player in this draft. If it wasn't for the excessive strikeouts, he would be the number 1 pick. When I'm in before the 2023 season started, I had a little fun and mocked the top 5 for the 2024. And this is before the 2023 season started. I had Vance Honeycutt going 2nd, I think. Tags going 1. I personally don't know how a team is going to let Honeycutt slide. When you have a guy that is 40-40 caliber potential with platinum glove center field defense, you take a chance on Julio Rodriguez in the international pool. This is what you're getting. This guy is the next Trey Turner with a splash of Julio. Personally, I think he should go under 17. You're getting plus money for it. But maybe a team feels different. I mean, personally, I would stay off of this. But I personally think he should go under.
Yeah, I think he's going to be around 15, 16, 17 area. I don't think he would slide too much either. That strikeouts is a big worry, but I do still think someone's going to take a chance on him earlier than that, but I'm not playing that one.
It's weird. There's been a lot of mocks to the Mets. I'm just like, I don't understand. Like the team that needs pitching, that already has a ton of hitting prospects, that has Drew Gilbert, who's slotted in center field. Like they're going to add more. Like pitching wise, you got Sproat and you got well, but like it's a little thin if we're being honest. So, remains to be seen. But Honeycutt would definitely be a great pick for the Mets. All right, we got to motor through these, so let's do them. Dakota first to be drafted, Dakota Jordan or Billy Emick?
I like Billy Emick. I think he'll get drafted around early 30s, and Dakota Jordan's I think going to be right around there. But I think Billy Emick's going to get drafted higher.
After the season he had with all the strikeouts included, Dakota Jordan I really like, but I think it's going to be Billy Emick. I think Billy's going to probably go about pick number 32, 33. And I see Dakota Jordan going more in the late 30s. I think Dakota's a little bit more of a project plate right now. Brody Brecht or Durangelo? I'll take this one. Plus money, Durangelo all day. Shown he can handle an SEC lineup. His stuff is really good. He hasn't even filled out yet. He's only going to get better. I think he's a better pitcher right now than Brody Brecht is, even though Brecht might have better stuff. Give me Durangelo.
Yeah, I mean, I have both to go over 20.5. So as long as they go in the 20s, I'm happy there. But I think those guys are so interchangeable because they're such different types of pitchers. Obviously, one throws with both arms and then one throws 100 miles an hour. So it really just depends on what the team wants and, how they scout them. So I don't really have a play on that one.
Next is interesting. Cam Smith minus 135 versus Seaver King. John, I'll let you take this one to start.
Yeah, once again, this one's so tough. I think these guys are interchangeable. I think they're both going to go in the mid-first round, 15, 16 area, 14, 15, 16 area. I have no idea which one's going to go first, though, so I'm just staying away from that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's official, but, I would probably take Cam Smith over because, Seaver King is very Mookie Betts-esque. I will say that. It would be dumb to take him before Cam Smith. I just think – based on Cam Smith's offensive profile, he's a little bit more likely. I think he's probably one of the 10 to 12 best hitters in college this past season. Carson Bench for Honeycutt. I think we both agree this has got to be Honeycutt. There is nothing I think that Bench has over Honeycutt. Honeycutt is 5 tools as 5 tools comes. I think if you ask me, who is the one player in this entire draft that is 5 tools? It's Honeycutt. No question about it.
Yeah, completely agree with you. We talked about this before the show. I mean, and Carson Bench, like you said, I don't think he's going to be a two-way player. So you're going to have to draft for one or the other. And I don't think he's, going to go. I think he'll go in late teens, early 20s. Vance Honeycutt is a generational talent. Like you said, it's really just the only problem is the strikeouts. But he has so much potential that I think teams are going to be looking for potential in the Honeycutt versus Bench, where you don't know what you're going to get.
But also, the other thing is like almost every young hitter strikes out a lot when they first come up. Look at Wyatt Langford. Wyatt Langford wasn't a big striker at college, and he's had an adjustment. So, it happens. But I only put this one out because I thought it would be fun. Charles Condon minus 300 versus Jack Caglione plus 230. I think it's really a fact that this is a big number. I don't think I'll play it just because it's a little crazy, but Jack Caglione, if he's going to go above Condon, it's probably going to be the number 1 pick, and you're better off taking 18 to 1 point. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion Condon goes over Cags. I just don't. I think, Cags is the guy, man. I don't know how he's not the number 1 pick, to be honest.
Yeah, that's like same idea for me. I think Cags should be over Condon, but I think people are going to look at, Condon is maybe a Wyatt Langford type who kind of came out of nowhere after a few years, and has that potential and had that one massive year. And then that's going to like totally change people's opinions and keep going. I'm not saying he's as good as Wyatt Langford. I think people are going to evaluate him the same way. So I would go Yeah, so I would go Condon over Cags, which is not what I would personally do.
It's just a more of a thing. Nick Kurtz or James Tibbs, which here's the interesting part if you were paying attention. Kurtz is 11.5, where James Tibbs' number was 9.5. Little bit interesting. And Kurtz is actually favored on the fact. I think Kurtz is going to go before Tibbs. But, I mean, it's very weird if you've been paying attention. Kurtz's projected number is 2 spots higher than James Tibbs, and he's a bigger favorite. So, do with that what you will. I'd be shocked if Kurtz gets outside the top 10. I could see Tibbs going 11 or 12.
Yeah, I think those guys are pretty interchangeable again. I think they'll both be either late, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think they'll both be in that area. I don't know which one's going to get, people are going to want more or teams are going to want more. So I don't have much of an opinion on that one.
All right, we got 2 more here. Jonathan Santucci minus 190 or Ryan Prager plus 155. This got – I remember seeing Santucci at like minus 150 a week ago. And a couple of our guys I talked to, they said they smashed Santucci. I would lay the number with Santucci because, to be honest, Ryan Prager, I think he's a very good college pitcher, but I don't know what he would profile as in the big leagues. There's also the sense that, Prager being a redshirt sophomore, A&M is retooling. A&M looks destined to just go all out, and Prager might want to be a part of that. So there is leverage on his sense. Tucci's a guy that I think is going to end up going ahead of Prager. I think there's a higher ceiling in the big leagues. So I think even at 190, it's a good bet here to take Santucci over Prager.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love Santucci over Prager here. I mean, Santucci has the upside. We've seen him, be one of the best pitchers in college baseball. It's just when he's a two-way player, or used to be a two-way player. And then when he gets later into the season, he's getting kind of tired and you see a lot more walks. He hasn't been getting deep into games either. But he has the potential. Whereas Brian Prager is kind of like just a pitcher, you know what you're going to get out of him. He's not going to do anything too special, which is not necessarily what you want to draft in the draft. You kind of really want upside in a guy who's going to improve. And Prager, you kind of know what you're going to get. And it's a good point too, where he has leverage. He might ask for a massive bonus to leave school, and teams are going to be very hesitant to draft him if that's the case.
Last one, we got Tommy White minus 145 versus Kalen Culpepper plus 115. I think this is actually sneaky because Culpepper is a shortstop. He's not as well known because he plays for Kansas State. He did have a really good NCAA tournament. He had a home run off Hagen Smith at Arkansas. I think Culpepper is really good. He's a shortstop, so he's got a lot of upside. Teams love drafting their captains at the infield. To me, it's more of a coin flip. I would actually consider taking Culpepper at plus money because I do think White goes under his 27.5. But there's not that many good shortstops in this class from the college perspective. There's only a handful. And I think Culpepper is legitimately second, third best. So I think there's a shot Culpepper could go above White, but I'm not going to officially play this one.
Yeah, so I got this one at Tommy White minus 125, which I liked a lot better, obviously. But I don't know about the 27.5. I don't know where he'll be drafted, but I do think he'll be drafted before Culpepper. Like you said, I think just a lot of question marks in general with Culpepper playing at Kansas State, whereas Tommy White, I mean, he had a year at NC State, came to LSU, 2 years at LSU, and absolutely dominated wherever he went. You really know what you're going to get out of Tommy White. Like I said, he's going to be a major leaguer. I don't know if he'll be an all-star. He could be. He has that potential, but he's going to be a major leaguer at some point. Whereas Kalen Culpepper, there are a lot more question marks. So I like Tommy White.
Yeah, I understand that. But John, I really appreciate the time, everybody. We really appreciate you listening in. Hopefully you got some good insight, and we'll be doing a little write-up for RotoWire. I'm going to be putting some of this down on RotoWire. It will be up within the next couple days, so you'll have at least 2 days to really absorb the information ahead of the draft. Thank you so much, and we look forward to speaking again soon. Thank you. Appreciate it, John.
Yeah, thanks for having me.